Hey everyone, and welcome back to the channel. If you are a Python developer, you know the drill. You start a project, you create a virtual environment, you pip install your dependencies, and then you wait and wait. What if I told you there is a tool that can make this process not just a little faster, but 10 to 100 times faster? A tool that can handle your packages, your virtual environments, and your dependency resolution all in one. That tool is called UV. In this video, we are going to take a deep dive into UV, a modern Python package manager written in Rust. We'll cover everything from installation to advanced usage, showing you exactly how to supercharge your workflow. Let's get started. What exactly is UV? UV was created by Astral, the same company behind the super fast Python formatter RAF. UV is a drop-in replacement for a whole suite of Python tools. Think about everything you use. Pip for installing packages, Venv or virtual env for creating virtual environments, pip tools for managing dependency trees, and even tools like Poetry and PDM for project management. UV aims to replace all of them with a single, coherent, and incredibly fast tool. The key here is that it is written in Rust, which gives it a massive performance advantage over the traditional Python-based tools. The goal is simple: to make Python package and project management instantaneous and frustration-free. First things first, let's get it installed. It is incredibly simple. On Linux or macOS, the easiest way is with a single curl command. Just open your terminal, like mine, and then run that one, and hit enter. Give it a few seconds to install, and everything is installed. Once that is done, you will need to restart your terminal or source your shell. To source your shell, it is very simple. If you are on Linux, you will just run that command and hit enter. Now, for Windows users, it is just as easy. You can use the PowerShell installer. I'm going to paste this. If you run this if you are a Windows user, run this and you will be installing your UV. And that is it. To verify it's working, just run UV and then version. You hit enter. You will be able to see UV 0.98 is the one that is installed in my machine. So let me clear the terminal. Perfect. We are all set. Now let's get to the fun part, actually using it. Let's start with the basics. I'll show you the traditional way and the UV way. First, let me create another folder. Testing UV, like that. Let me open my VS Code and then let me go to that new folder that we just created. Now, I will launch my terminal here. Like I said, I'm going to show you on how to create virtual environment in the old way. With the old method, you will use something like Python, env, and then Venv, and then we give it a name. So we'll say Venv. That is how you hit enter and then you will create your virtual environment. So in this case, let's give it env name. Hit enter. You will notice it has been created here, but it's taking time to finish. I want you to take note on the time it takes to create that virtual environment, because we are going to compare the old way and the UV way. It has been completed, and now you need to activate that virtual environment before installing any dependencies. To do so, we are going to use source and virtual environment name. In this case, it is env name, and then bin activate, like that. So let's see the name. It is ev, not nv. So I'm going to delete it, like that. And you only know if the virtual environment has been activated if you check this. Now let's deactivate. That is the old way of creating virtual environment. And then let me remove this new environment. So I'll say ev name. So we have to remove that. Let's check this. Okay, we still have that. So we need to remove this ref.ev name. Now we have removed that. With UV, it is just simple on how to create virtual environment. It is simple. You just say UV and Venv, that just like that, and hit enter. Have you seen how fast that was? So with this creates a virtual environment in .venv. You can see here. .venv has been created here, directory. So to activate it, it is same as always. On Mac, you use you use this. On Mac and Linux, you use this. For those who are using Windows, it is simple. To activate it, you just use .venv scripts and then activate, just like that, and you will activate your virtual environment in Windows. Now let's move to the second stage. We have created our virtual environment using UV. Now we need to move to the second stage where the real magic happens when you combine commands. Now installing the packages is our second good thing. So let's say you want to install requests. With pip, you'd activate your virtual environment and then run this pip install requests, and you will install your request. But now with UV, you can do it on one line without even activating the environment. Let me show you. So we have not activated our virtual environment, but we are going to install this using UV. Okay, let's try that without initializing our project and see what happens. So if you try to say UV add requests, there will be an error because we have not initialized our project, and there is no this file within our project. So to avoid this error, you need to initialize your project. So let's say testing UV is our project folder. So we need to initialize it. So to initialize it, you need to say UV init and hit enter. You can see there's a bunch of files that have been created automatically. The first file is the first file is .ignore. We have this Python version, and then we have our main file, and then we have this. So I'm going to come back to this file and explain why this file is very important. So now once we have done that, we have to install our packages, and I want you to note the speed at which it installs. Okay, in the old way you can run pip install requests, and that is how. Now let's install our package UV add and say requests, hit enter. You see how fast that happened, and there is another file that has been added. I will come back and explain this file as well. See how fast that was. The UV add command automatically installs the package into your active virtual environment, which is this one. If you don't have one active, it will use the one in the current directory, which is this. This is similar to how poetry add works. To install from a requirement.txt file, you can use this. So let's say inside our project we have a file called requirements.txt file, and inside this file we have our packages. Let's say inside here we have Django, we have white noise packages, and we want to install this to our virtual environment. It's very simple using UV. What you will do is UV install requirements.txt like that, and then hit enter. You can see it is installing the packages that are inside our requirements.txt. Yes, UV has a built-in pip compatibility mode, which is fantastic for transitioning. Now let's look at a more realistic project workflow. We will create a new project, manage its dependencies, and lock its versions. Okay, first let's delete everything in this folder like this. Delete. Let's move it to trash everything. Now let's look at a more realistic project workflow. We'll create a new project, manage its dependencies, and lock its versions. Let's do that. So we'll create a new folder, mkdir, and call this my UV project, and then we will change directory and say cd my UV project. Hit enter. Now we will create a virtual environment here. We'll say UV venv, hit enter. It has been created. It's very fast, super fast. It has been created already, and then we need to initialize our project. So to do that, we need to say UV init, hit enter. Our project has been initialized. If we go back in here, you will see a bunch of files have been created. Next, let's add some packages. We are building a web scrap, so we need requests and beautiful soup. I'll clear the terminal and then install those packages. UV add requests, and then we have beautiful soup. Hit enter. It has installed. Look at that. UV didn't just install the packages, it also created a project file for us. This file now tracks our main dependencies. Let's take a look at it. So this is our file, and you can notice the dependencies that we installed earlier. Now, what about development dependencies? Things like PyTest, Black, that you need for development but not in production. UV handles that with a dev flag. To install that, you need to use, say UV add and then that flag and say PyTest and Black. So these are the packages that we are using in development but not in production. Hit enter. It has installed. Okay, and if we open our Py project, you can see we have these. Okay, so we have that. So if a colleague clones this project, how do they get started? Easy, they just run. So let's assume we are cloning this project, and when you clone, you don't clone the virtual environment. So let's delete this .venv, delete it like that. So this friend of ours, once he has cloned our project and he needs to install all the dependencies, it's very simple. You will say UV sync and then hit enter. You can see how fast it is. You can see .venv has been created back, and then all the dependencies that we have in this file has been added to it. Okay, so the UV sync command is your best friend. It reads the Py project file, this file, and it creates a virtual environment if needed and installs all the locked dependencies, which brings me to the log file. Now this file, UV automatically creates a uv.log file when you run UV add or UV sync. This file pins the exact versions of every single dependency, ensuring reproducible installs across different machines. It is like pip freeze requirements.txt, you can see, but this one is much more robust. So you've got your environment and your dependencies. How do you run your code? You have a couple of options. First, you can just activate your virtual environment. This is the old way, using source venv bin activate and run python main.py like normal. But UV gives you a cooler way. You can use UV run. So in this example, let's say we want to run this file, main.py file. Using UV, you can say UV run python, let me close this, and then our file, main.py. So you can see we are getting hello from my UV project, which is this one. So no need to manually activate anything. You've noticed that we have been working with UV without activating our virtual environment. If you have to run your linter or PyTest, you can do the same. Let's say you have tests in your project, you need to run those tests. You can use UV run PyTest like that, hit enter, and your tests will run like that. So let's recap. What does UV bring to the table? Number one, blazing speed. It is ridiculously fast thanks to Rust, and you have seen that. Number two is simplicity. One tool to replace pip, venv, pip tools and more. Number three, modern workflow. It uses a Py project, this file, and creates a log files, this file, by default, which is the modern standard for Python packaging. Number four, seamless integration. Commands like UV run make your workflow smoother. Is it the absolute final solution for everyone? Maybe not yet, but it is evolving incredibly fast, and for most projects, it is already a massive upgrade. I highly recommend you give UV a try on your next Python project. The speed boost alone is a game changer. If you found this video helpful, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe for more content on modern development tools. It really helps the channel out. The links to the UV original Medium article that I wrote that inspired this video are in the description below. Let me know in the comment what your experience with UV has been, or if there is another tool you will like me to cover. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.